When you think of Sweden, I bet the first thing that comes to mind isn't UFOs. But the country has a small yet intensely dedicated UFO community. We open tonight with one of their most enduring and perplexing cases. Ta en titt. That means take a look in Swedish. At least I sure hope it does. It's November 11th, 1973, in the rural village of Pintaja, Sweden. 14-year-old Åke Lejeune is roaming the countryside with his niece's Instamatic camera when he sees a group of strange objects in the sky, and he's able to capture one of them on film. In a series of images, Åke captures a small black speck moving slowly across the sky. He's described it as a loaf of bread, but with more pronounced edges. It had a dark spot on top and continued to turn and become flatter. The rest of the body, he says, had a steel gray color and seemingly a slight yellow glow underneath it. And all of a sudden, a triangular object ejects from the loaf UFO. As Åke would later illustrate, the triangular craft flies much faster in an arched motion underneath the loaf and in the opposite direction. Åke claims it was a silver-white color and seemed like it was glowing. Author and historian Amy Title says Åke's incident wasn't as isolated as it may seem.
This sighting ties in with a large number of triangular-shaped UFO sightings in Sweden in the early 1970s. In the summer of 1970, triangular phenomena were seen and photographed over Jämtland. A triangular object was also seen and followed by a Lansen aircraft in June of 1971.
But out of all of these, Åke's sighting in particular drew special attention from Sweden's burgeoning UFO community.
Åke's case was thoroughly investigated by Gothenburg's Information Center for Unidentified Flying Objects. Their member magazine was known for its meticulous investigation of aerial phenomena. The investigation revealed that the negatives hadn't been tampered with. The images were authentic, and the UFO was a genuine mystery.
In the 50 years since, ufologists have spent decades trying to figure out what Åke saw.
Because the sighting was in such a remote location, it's very possible that what Åke saw was actually a secret military aircraft being tested. Other militaries have also tested their aircraft in the same region above the Norwegian Sea. It's possible that what this is actually a Russian aircraft. Åke is 14 years old when this happens, so it's also possible that Åke didn't understand what he saw. Or it's possible Åke saw something more mysterious and we don't know what it is.
What is so compelling about these blurry photos that we're still talking about them 50 years later? Let's look at the loaf of bread photos first. Each one is a bit different. The lighting is different. The coloring is different. You'd expect to see some of that in a moving object. And then there's the triangle image here. Much harder edges, more aerodynamic, almost more menacing. Let's see how our experts take on this 50-year mystery. First, we asked Rich Hoffman of the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies if Åke could have stumbled upon a remote test by a secret military aircraft. He's uncertain if we're looking at a human aircraft at all.
You can't really make out any kind of propulsion, no engines, nothing that's keeping it up in the air. It's the lack of clarity on the actual photos that makes it very hard for us to determine anything about it.
One thing that could add clarity to the grainy photos is this collection of sketches from the witness himself. Some have pointed out that the triangular silhouette and the triangle craft he drew both resembled the Saab 37 Viggen jet, a Swedish combat aircraft developed in the 1960s.
And that could have explained this triangular-shaped object if they were flying around in that area that was very much a double delta-winged aircraft, very much like this.
But that wouldn't explain the object's ability to morph into different shapes, as shown by both Åke's drawings and photos. Could we be looking at a speck of dust inside the camera? Well, those would create the same shape of artifact on each photo, and in these images, the object is clearly changing shape. So maybe the speck was something like a gnat that was so close to the camera that it appeared out of focus. But our photo expert, Andrew McCarthy, doesn't think so.
Åke was using an Instamatic, which was a very popular point-and-shoot film camera at the time. This point-and-shoot camera had a very small aperture lens. It was designed to be able to shoot at infinity easily without requiring any kind of manual focus. If this object is more out of focus, it'd be more transparent and have less contrast. So since this is as dark and as defined as it is, we know that any blur that we're seeing from this object is most likely caused by motion blur.
So what could we possibly be seeing?
While I don't think these photos are a hoax, there is no plausible explanation for them. We have no explanation for why this loaf-shaped UFO just hovered for a few minutes and why this triangular-shaped UFO was ejected from it. There's just not enough information in this story to make a conclusion. This photo is a true UFO.
Our verdict? We're calling this a genuine UFO. The journalist who documented Okay's sighting concluded there was no reason to doubt his information. He left it to his readers to decide, and we leave it to you, the viewers.